Hello, welcome to Brain Spill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and I am a big fan of a lot of music from a lot of different genres. What I do particularly love about music is when you go out of your way and discover some new artists or an old album that perhaps you've never heard of before, some of which, however, are truly unique gems and something which perhaps at the time they were released weren't that popular, but maybe have gathered a cult following in the future. Today I'll be talking about one that's quite unique, and you bet I was very surprised when I found out that, yes, Spider-Man himself has his own rock album, which we're going to look at today. Yes, today, ladies and gentlemen, before we start this video, we have to address the elephant in the room, and that is this on my head. Yes, I finally got my hair cut. So excited. Just walking into the barbers and being able to get it cut, post-lockdown trim, looking good, yeah? When Spider-Man isn't swinging about New York City saving the denizens from criminals and supervillains alike, Spider-Man seems to be trying his hand at his music career. With great power comes great jazzy vibes. So, upon finding out this information, you bet the first thing I did was track down this album and listen to it. But as well as that, I also wanted to find out why they did this. I mean, of all things they could have made, they decided to make a rock opera. And why Spider-Man? Well, this was released in the 1970s, which to many was considered Marvel's Bronze Age, where many of the superhero characters you know and love today were made and created during this time, which includes many first-time appearances from characters such as Wolverine, the Punisher, Ghost Rider, Thanos, and of course, everybody's favourite superhero character, Howard the Duck. And no, I didn't make that one up, just Google it for yourself. And one might expect that if you have an incredibly popular franchise at its peak, then maybe you should start looking into other avenues and other mediums to see if you can stretch your brand out and make more money. That's just the baseline, people. Following the success of some of the other adaptations which have already been successful, such as various films and television, I'm thinking, for example, the 60s Spider-Man cartoon, this could very well have paved the way for Spider-Man's musical career. This all led to the release of an album by Lifesong Records in 1975, self-titled Spider-Man, the rock reflections of a superhero. The music on the album ranges from prog rock, psychedelic rock, and even doo-wop, which, I mean, now is probably quite a strange thing to think about, but at the time it was all the rage. And I know what you're thinking, you're expecting me to absolutely drag this album through the dirt because it is a truly strange phenomenon, right? Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but I actually quite like it. Which I bet you weren't expecting that, were you? Looking first at the album artwork, I really like it, with Peter Parker stood staring into a mirror, with Spider-Man looking back. Being a comic book fan, or in particular of Spider-Man during the time in the 70s, seeing this in your local record shop must have been pretty neat, and I imagine it enticed quite a few people to buy it. You know what, come to think of it, if they re-released this, or maybe even made a new Spider-Man album, that might just save these record stores from going under. Who knows? The back cover of the album is where it gets even weirder, and in particular, there is a wide cast of characters which are part of the band, so I think Spider-Man's done pretty well for himself if he's managed to gather this group to support him in his musical act. The back cover features Spider-Man himself singing and dancing in the centre, and around him is his backing band. There's Luke Cage, Power Man on bass, the Fantastic Four on backup vocals, Conan and the Barbarians on strings, which at the time was a licensed Marvel property, the Silver Surfer on the keyboard, Captain America on percussion, the Incredible Hulk drumming away, Black Panther on electric guitar, the Falcon giving hand claps, and Thor on trumpet. Yes, God of Thunder Nordic god Thor is in the band. If that's not a band you're impressed by, I don't know what will. What makes this particularly interesting, however, especially if you're a Marvel fan, is that throughout the album, all the songs are based on various parts of Spider-Man's life and big moments that happen in his comic series. But throughout the album as well, Stan Lee himself narrates through a lot of the songs, which gives a nice thematic feel when you're listening throughout the album, if you listen to it from back to front. The album itself has a track listing of 23 songs and a running time of 43 minutes, many of which is Stan Lee's narration, so they're not actual songs, but the songs that are on there I actually really like. The album opens with the arena rock song High Wire, which is basically just about Spider-Man swinging around the city having a grand old time. But the whole album isn't like this, and honestly it gets quite dark throughout, so let me run you through some of the other songs on the album. Many of the themes in this do start coming to the surface, in particular that of the struggles between Peter Parker and being a superhero as Spider-Man. And the album goes into some even darker places, such as the possibility of Doc Ock taking over the world, the murder of Uncle Ben, and the death of Gwen Stacy, which 50 years spoiler warning by the way. Just to show you how in depth this goes, this is one of the things that Stan Lee says in his narration. His hopes and dreams of love are gone. He kneels beside her lifeless body. Ignoring the approaching police sirens, Peter Parker whispers gently in her ear, as the echoes of his words carry him to her, reaching for her, trying to bring her back, to share life with him again. Yeah, I wouldn't really expect this from something which perhaps kids are listening to, but that's how it is. And when I first found out about the album, I honestly thought it was probably just a massive cash grab and not very good. But like I've already said, I was pleasantly surprised. It was actually not that bad. I mean, put it this way, it's not clean or anything, but still, it's alright. I mean, a large part of this is probably down to the work that Marvel had with Lifesong Records' Tommy West, who worked heavily on the album and made it what it is today. For the actual writing and performing of the songs on the album, Tommy West instructed the help of West Virginian rock band Crack the Sky, which, from me, gets a thumbs up. Okay, I'm not a review channel by any means, and you're probably just going to take what I say with a pinch of salt, but this is just one man's opinion. Put it this way, if this album isn't in the next Spider-Man movie, I'm going to be pissed, because I am now super invested in this Spider-Man 70s prog rock album, and it deserves more recognition. In fact, I even managed to find the original ad that was posted in various Marvel comics advertising the fact that this album was going to be released, and it's quoted as being the biggest rock event of the decade, which I don't know about that, but they were pretty confident nonetheless. Hi rock fans, this is Stan, music lover Lee sounding off. I'm here to tell you about a great new album, Reflections of a Superhero. It's not just for the younger set either. No, it's an honest to Aunt May rock and roll album that's the answer to any disc jockey's prayer. And every one of the sensational songs deals with another aspect of Spidey's tumultuous life. Don't miss the one true believer. Be in on the beginning of a musical revolution. And if you're wondering why I'm making like DJ here myself, guess who'll be narrating the whole amazing album? Oh, someone must have told you. As you can tell, they were pretty confident by this whole thing, saying it was going to be the start of a new musical revolution. The reality of this, however, was that it was released with a lukewarm reception. It wasn't really anything massive on release and just seemed to fade into obscurity. Which, at the end of the day, that really sucks, because I imagine that there's been so much hard work that's gone into this, and also millions of dollars, but still, something that's actually half decent, a hidden gem, shall we say, just seems to get buried and never discovered again. Until now, because I'm making this video. Like I said though, something like this, which is truly unique in nature, has over time garnered a cult following. People that perhaps either loved it at the time, or people that have perhaps discovered it later and slowly but surely come around to thinking that, actually, I quite like this. This is pretty cool. Interestingly, however, despite the title of the video, this isn't actually the only musical endeavour that Spider-Man has ever been on. Some of you may be aware of a little-known musical called Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, which was released in 2010 and ran until 2014. I won't really be going into tons of detail in this video, mainly because there's a whole amount of other stuff we could be talking about in this production. Mainly because it was an absolute diabolical disaster, but that's a story for another day. Let's just say that shit hit the fan very, very quickly, and perhaps they should just stick to their prog rock albums. That's probably the best thing to do. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas as to what videos you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Right, I'm gonna go sit in a dark room and listen to this album on repeat for the next 5 hours, so I have every single lyric subconsciously burned into the back of my head. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.